Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Harish Krishnan. This is video part 2 of the IPCC track going on information technology. This is part 2. We will be now dealing with chapter number 3. I hope you've benefited watching video number 1 where we talked about chapters 1 and 2. Let me go off with chapter number 3 in this video. Chapter number 3 talks about networks. Guys, let me tell you, this is one of the most scoring topics. Networks are very easy, very simple. Limited number of concepts, and of course most of them have appeared in the exam in the past, so that's going to make our stretch a more easy, right? First of which, let me start with what is networks. Networks are what? Networks are collection of computers. Networks are the collection of computers. So, and each endpoint is called node, right? It's a very important point that I'm talking about. Each endpoint is called a node. And why did you really have to start using computer networks is the question. So that's the answer for that is that trends have changed, right? So we have some change trends, and we have 3 things to be changed. Industry trends have changed, technology trends have changed, and of course business application, or you can say business trends, business application trends have also changed, right? So this is about it, the trends and the changes, right? So this is what networks are, and the trends, the reasons why we are starting to use networks. Then going further, it's all about the use of, the structure of a network, before which there's one very important question that's come in the exam in the past, is the need and scope of networks. Need and scope of networks. What about the need and scope of networks? There are 5 points to cover and catch up, guys. First of which is called file sharing. File sharing. 2, remote access. File sharing, remote access. And then I think you've heard about something called as fault tolerances. What is fault tolerance? The capability to recover from the accidental data loss, right? So we have fault tolerance. Then we have shared databases. We have shared database. And then of course we also have the last point, which provides internet access. Networks, the very reason why we use networks is because it provides us the internet access. So networks, the trends and the need and scope, this is a very important short answer question. Going up next, let me on this side go completely with one of the very important topics in networks, called as the telecommunication network structure, or I can say telecommunication network model. Telecommunication network model, one of the very important concepts. Let me take you through with the help of a small diagram, guys. Then I'll take you through what the ideology is, right? We have endpoints at every side, right? So this is called what? Terminals. So we have terminals. On either sides we have terminals. To connect these terminals, I might use 2 channels, communication channels. See, from here, this is terminal 1, this is terminal 2, this is terminal 3. Let me say if I want to connect terminal 1 to terminal 2, I'm going to want to use a wire, right? So this particular case, I'm using a wire. So this is a guided media. This is guided media. And then for these wires to connect at the endpoints, I might need to have some network devices. At the same time, terminal 1 to terminal 3 can also be connected wireless. Since there is no wire, I'm just using a dotted line. I'll say this is unguided, right? So this is what it is about. And then there are lots of devices that are used in the likes of modem. Like say probably here there might be a router and all that, right? So this is all the network model functions. Let me take you through what are the 5 basic components of a network model. So if somebody tells you or asks you how is a network constructed, so basically the components are: 1, it's about terminals. Then 2, we are talking about telecommunication processes. Telecommunication process, where we have some of the devices called the network interface card, shortly called the NIC, network interface card. Then we have the modulator, demodulator, which could be a very important short answer question at that point. It is called modem. Right, guys, let me give you two simple techniques to remember what modem does. I want you to remember two keywords called add and DAM. Add talks about ADD, that is analog to digital, which is what is called a demodulation. So ADD, DAM is digital to analog, which is called modulation, so DAM. Right, two keywords to remember there. So network interface card, modem, then we have something called as a multiplexer, which multiplies the signals, and there is a similar multiplexer on the other side which will split the signals again. And then of course we have something called as inter-network processors, which are in the likes of you can say bridges, repeaters, gateways, switch, router, and a hub. So all these are some of those telecommunication processors, right? Then moving up next, we have something to do with the telecommunication channel. Telecommunication channel. In the telecommunication channel, we have guided. Under guided, we have three things: twisted pair of wires, then you have coaxial cable, and then of course we have fiber optics. Three types of wires. And then we have unguided. Under unguided, we have 5 terrestrial microwave. Then we have radio waves, which is covering the largest radio waves. Then we have the smaller ones called microwaves. Then we have the infrared beams or IR. And then lastly, we also have something called as communication satellite. Then the fourth component of networks are computers, which are connected at the every end. And of course, the fifth component is a network management software. So guys, right from here, this is what the telecommunication network, it's a very important part of your discussion. Terminals or endpoints, then we have all these telecommunication process and inter-network process, guided 3 types of wires, unguided 5 types of unguided medium, then computers, and of course network management software. The network management software, if you look at the functions of network management software. So if you have read the functions of the network management software, there are 4 functions that the network management software works on, right? What are the 4 functions of the network management software is something that we need to understand at this point. These are traffic management, security, traffic management, security, network monitoring, and of course load balancing. Alright guys, that's your first frame. You can quickly have an idea as to what these are in terms of the basic networks. We talk about the definition, talk about the trends and changes that have come in the network arena, and then the need and scope of networks, and one extensive topic which is talking about the entire telecommunication model, right? I hope this gives you a quick idea of what it is. Let me move aside for a second. You can take a screen of the you can take or watch out the screen. I will move on to the next topic where we will be discussing about the classification of networks, the types of telecommunication networks. I will help you with the next topic once you finish noting this down. Up next are the types of telecommunication networks. We have 4 classifications there again. Right, so I will leave that for you on screen for some time, right? So you can go with it. In the meanwhile, let me take you through the classification of networks. Go with the classification of networks, guys. Classification of networks. So they are classified into 4 broad branches, where I am talking about area based classification. Then I will be talking about function based classification, ownership based classification. Then also I am going to talk about the last one being media based classification. Based on area, there is LAN, MAN and WAN. Based on function, there is client server, peer to peer, and of course tier architectures, where we have multi-tier architecture to be famous. And then of course with ownership, we have public, we have private, we have virtual private networks. Then based on media, virtual private network is a very important short answer, guys. Using a public line to communicate and cut it down into a private line and make it behave like a private, but actually it is not private. So you are using a public channel, tunneling it, making it behave like a private. That's what is called a virtual private network. And lastly, we talk about media, again going back to the same things. Guided, also called as bound, and unguided, or you can as well say unbound, wired, unwired, wired, wireless, by whatever name you call. Those are the classification of networks, guys. So that gives you a quick idea of what are the basic things that one needs to concentrate in terms of what is called as networks classification, right? Let me move on, guys. Let me take you through the next topic, where we will be discussing about the topologies, network computing, right? That's very important. Again, let's go with the bigger frame right now. I want everybody to note down this one. This is one of the important pieces of the entire network discussion. So we have 2 broad topics that are being discussed in this. One is about transmission, the other one is about the network structure, right? Let's first discuss the network structure, and then we can go about discussing the entire concept of transmission, right? So under the heading network computing, I am first discussing the concept of network structures. Network structures are something to do with 4 or network structures in this. Your favorite word, topology, is something that could be easy for you to catch up. What are the 4 network structure topologies? You have star topology, bus topology, ring topology, and mesh, right? Star is a server kind of a model, where there is something which is centric and all the other things are connected. Bus is a single wire, where you have multiple connections from the wire. Ring network is like you have things which have a unidirectional connectional flow, where you have mesh, we have all points to be interconnected with each other, right? So it is connected. A fully interconnected mesh is something, you know, that seems to be the order for something like a military application, where each one of them is connected to all the others, right? That's a fully interconnected mesh that you see there, right? All of them being connected to all of the others. So it's the first topic in the network structures and topology. Then comes on the very important topic on the other side, where we're talking about network transmission. Network transmission. What is there in network transmission? If you look at what is there in network transmission, we have transmission technologies. Then we have something to do with the transmission modes, and then we have something to talk about transmission techniques. On the transmission technologies, we are again classifying them into 2: serial and parallel. Serial and parallel. Then we have a synchronous and asynchronous. Now serial is one after another, where all the 8 bits follow one after the other, where parallel all the 8 bits travel together. Synchronous, no start and stop bits, while in asynchronous we have start and stop bits. Modes, I hope you know the modes. 3 modes are there, which is what is called a simplex, where there is only one way flow. Then we have half duplex, which is 2-way flow, but only one direction at a time, like a walkie-talkie, right? Half duplex walkie-talkie is a very good example. And then we have full duplex, where we have like our telephones. Then comes the easiest topic called network transmission techniques, where we will be talking about circuit switching, message switching, and of course we have something called as packet switching. What do you mean by packet switching, guys? Packet is the smallest part of data. Let me give you, it's a very important short answer. Packet switching, each unit in data is called, each unit of the entire part is broken down into a small piece of data called as packets. These packets, each of them have a header information. They travel to the destination in different routes. At the destination, they all reassemble and make the original message. That's how packet switching works. And the last topic in network computing, which is very important, is the open system interconnection model, which is also appearing in your RTP, right? The OSI model, guys, let me give you a quick story, right, as we go on to all the layers. The outermost layer here, the story goes like this, that there is a user who is trying to reach the bottom of the database, where the actual data layer is there, where he is trying and targeting something when it comes to what he wants to actually pull out from the database, right? So he has 7 layers to catch up with. The outermost layer, where he starts doing something, the first of which is called the application layer, layer number 7, application layer. Then we have the 6th layer, one below the other on the application. You start presenting your views, so it is called the presentation layer. And then I'm not writing the word layer all the time, right? So then we have point number 5 or layer number 5, where we are talking about a session beginning, session layer. Then we have the network layer. Then we have 3, where we are talking about a transport layer. 2, where we have the data link layer, and of course lastly innermost we have the physical layer, where actually the data is sitting, right? So that's exactly what we are looking at in terms of the OSI model. Alright, a quick correction here, I think this should be number 4, having the transport layer and then the network layer. Yeah, I'm sorry. So transport is like the vehicle, network is like the road on which it travels. So you enter an application, present in it, a session starts, and then it transports from there over the network through the data link layer to reach the physical layer. That's what is the open system interconnection model, right? That's it, guys. That's what we have in the concept of network computing, right? The next concept that we will be seeing is all about network security, but before that, let me leave the screen for you so that you can catch up with it, and then we will catch up with network security. So I hope you got this in. Let's move on to the next topic, where we're talking about network security, network controls, network risks, and network security. Of course, I'm going to take you through the various threats and vulnerabilities that are present, and then what is something that we will do, what are some of the techniques that we can do, and what is network management. We're going to discuss 3 topics here, guys, right, under the concept of network security. So first, let's look at what are some of the threats. Then we will talk about what are some of the vulnerabilities. Then we will look at what is the level of security required. It's an 8-point story, this level of security. And then we will talk about network security techniques. network security techniques, and lastly we will be talking about network management. 4 functions are there. We will see who will do what in that, right? So let's start with threads, guys. Threads are broadly classified into 4: structured threads, unstructured threads, structured threads, unstructured threads. Then we have the sources, internal threads, and of course we have external threads. I hope you're making the framework. So that is what network security is all about. And then we are talking about the 4 threads: unstructured threads, structured threads, internal threads, and external threads. Then we are talking about, I'm going to talk about 6 vulnerabilities, where the 6 of these are software bugs. So while writing the program itself there is something wrong, software bugs. Then we have something to do with timing windows, software bugs, timing windows, insecure default configurations. Then you have written programs which are having bad protocols. You are trusting untrustworthy information, trusting untrustworthy information. And lastly but most importantly, the end user himself without proper training could be a serious source of problem, right? That's it. That's what we have in threats and vulnerabilities, guys. Let's talk about the 8 steps in identifying the level of security. Now the 8 steps are not rocket science. Let me give you a quick and easy way to understand these 8 steps, right? First of which is to understand the objectives, preparing a plan, preparing a project plan. That's what is the basic thing that is supposed to do. Then step number 2 and 3 are together with, asset. One is about asset identification. You should know how much is the asset, what is the asset, and then how much is the asset valuation. Then guys, you have point number 4, 5, 6 to catch up with, all talking about threat, right? Threat, 3 points with respect to threat identification, threat probability, what is the chance of that occurring really, threat probability, and then if at all threat becomes real, what is the exposure of the threat. Then point number 7 is a conclusive point, adjustments in controls, that means from old controls to new controls, what you are doing, and preparing a report to sort out all these. This is what are the 8 points that you need to catch up in the level of security. Then moving up next, we're talking about network security techniques. Right, before I talk about network security techniques, let me talk about some of the network security protocols. We have 4 protocols here. Secured shell, which is called the SSH. Then we have SFTP, secured file transfer protocol. Then we have HTTPS, hypertext transfer protocol, which is secure. We find a lock on all those payment windows and all, you see the HTTPS. And of course, lastly the SSL, which is nothing but the secured socket layer, which is what are the 4 set of very important protocols that are followed in networking. And then coming to network techniques. We have network techniques, the first of which is called firewall. Then we have something called as site blocking. Now blacklisted sites, or where you think that explicit material is published that you don't want your employees to see at the workplace, you can block all those sites. And then you can have message authentication. Every message that is being sent can be checked, authentication. And then of course the last but the most important short answer which has been asked in the exam several times is the IDS, or called as the intrusion detection system. What about the intrusion detection system? We have 4 types of intrusion detection system. Network intrusion detection system called the NID. Host based intrusion detection called the HID. Then NID plus HID, you have a hybrid intrusion detection system. And then of course network node intrusion detection system, which is called the NNID, network node intrusion detection, right? That's it guys, that's what we have in this concept of network security. Of course network administration management is a small topic that you can run down, where the options of, where the actions of operations, management, maintenance, programming, all those are taken care by somebody called as network administrators, right? So that's what we have in network security, right? So that covers 3 topics of what are the threats, vulnerabilities, what are the level of security involved, what are the protocols, and of course the techniques and management. The last wing of this chapter deals with the internet revolution. Let me take you through the internet revolution now. The internet revolution goes on with 3 concepts of internet, intranet and extranet. Of course e-commerce being one of the key points. Let me quickly guide you through what those are to sum up this particular chapter, right? The last wing of this chapter deals with the internet revolution. In the internet revolution we have to discuss 3 topics. First of all, what is called as internet, which is a network across the world, network of networks, interconnected networks, everything, whatever you say. Then we have something to do with intranet. Intranet is purely within the organization, and then we have extranet. Extranet is also restricted, goes outside the organization, but only to select outsiders. That's what is internet, intranet and extranet, the 3 concepts, their values, categorizations, and of course what's the importance, you have a quick look at. Then coming up with one of the important topics that has come in the exam several times is what is the concept of e-commerce. Doing business electronically is called e-commerce, and one of the favorite questions of the examiners at this point have been the types of e-commerce, right? We have business to business, business to customer, customer to business, which is the latest, where we showcase our work on the internet platform, and of course customer to customer in the nature of Quikr, OLX and all that, right? And then of course business to government and business to employees. All these are the 6 types of e-commerce to be understood and studied. And of course e-commerce does have its own share of risk and benefits, which is also included in this topic. And the last topic that you will be seeing in this chapter is about m-commerce, which is doing business using wireless handheld devices, using something called as wireless access protocol, wireless application protocol, WAP, right? And lastly we have something to do with electronic payments, right? So I think that's pretty simple. Electronic payments, where we are talking about ATM, point of sale terminals, where the swiping machines and all that. And then we have pre-authorized transfers in bank, pre-authorized transfer, and then of course telephonic transfers as well, right? That's it guys, that's what we have in the 3rd chapter. We will continue our discussion with the 4th chapter after you note down this internet revolution. Let's continue with chapter 4 guys. Chapter 4 is about business information systems. So in chapter 4 in business information systems, I hope you know that there are classifications to information systems, right? We have information systems here. Let me keep this chapter short and simple. Let me give you a brief overview of what is there. We have information systems. Then we have something called as specialized systems. Specialized systems, right? Then we also have, after seeing specialized systems, artificial intelligence, the concept of artificial intelligence. We have the concept of artificial intelligence. under some sub-concepts we have, we'll see those. Another concept of information systems, we have talked about the information systems, right? So what are there under information system? The various levels in the organization. We are supposed to talk about the levels. There are 4 levels, right? The strategic level, the managerial level, and then comes the knowledge level, and of course the operational level. That is where work actually happens, operational level. Now under the strategic level, the systems that are used are the executive information system, the EIS. It goes beyond the boundaries of the company. So we have not just hardware, software and all, it's also connected networks. So telecommunication networks are an important part of the story. Then information systems, a managerial level. At managerial level, we are using systems like the MIS and of course the decision support system. At knowledge level, we are using something called as the knowledge management system, and at operational level, we will be using something called as transaction processing system, and of course we are using something called as the office automation system. These are all the various 6 types of information systems that you're going to use in business to gather information. Let me give you a brief overview of all of these, right? And I will take you through the important topics out of these, right? First of which, let's talk about the TPS. Guys, TPS, let me give you a small shortcut to remember the features of TPS. You remember the keyword called heat, high volume and rapid processing, equivalence, access control, and of course using, right, the TPS, which is trustworthy. So guys, high volume rapid processing, equivalence, access control, and of course trustworthiness. Those are features of TPS, and every system to be called as a TPS should pass the acid test. This question has been asked in the exam in the past, guys. Acid test: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and of course you have durability. So these are some of the tests, some of the points that has to pass through the test for you to get to and call it as a TPS. Then talking about the knowledge management system, so that was TPS. Office automation is about using computers. Then coming to knowledge management, we have 2 types of knowledge, guys. What is called as explicit knowledge available in books. Explicit knowledge, you can get these in books. While we are talking about tacit knowledge, very important, and tacit knowledge only comes by way of experience, right? Management information systems is about MIS, using the 3 concepts of what is management, what is information and system. That's a simple cakewalk. DSS would be a task to catch up with, right? Let me take you through the 4 components of DSS. And the DSS, you have a user. The user uses something called as a planning language. User planning language. Then you have 1 or more databases, and then you have one of the most important concept called as a model base, which talks about, which is the brain of the DSS. So it's all about the information systems, guys. EAS, apart from having hardware, software, it also talks about telecommunication. Why does it talk about telecommunication? Is because it goes beyond the boundaries of the company, and that's one of the reasons why we talk about telecommunication or networks in EIS, because it is used for top executives. It carries both internal and external information. Then moving up next with specialized systems, we have 6 specialized systems, guys. I'm not going to discuss much because I think it's a quick and single read that you can understand all these systems. Enterprise resource planning, ERP, where we have 10 stages. That could be an important question. Then I'm talking about CRM softwares and supply chain management softwares. Then the relation between ERP, CRM and SCM is another important question. Then we are talking about something called as core banking systems, right? And the 3 core banking softwares in the nature of Infosys Finacle, Oracle FlexCube and Nucleus FinOne, they are all discussed in this core banking concept. Then we have HR management systems, and of course last but the most important one from the exam point of view, the accounting information system. And the 6 components of the accounting information system: hardware, software, data, people, processing, and the most important thing here is it comes with internal controls, which is what is the important thing in this 6 specialized systems. Then moving up next, we have the concept of artificial intelligence, which is nothing but what? Replicating human behavior in computers, which is what is called as artificial intelligence, right? Under which we have 2 concepts to talk about, which is dealing with expert systems. Expert systems are the next level of DSS, high level DSS. So we have a expert who is giving all the information, which is programmed in something called as a knowledge base, and the knowledge base will contain all the information necessary for a novice, a new person, to draw an information and get the opinion like he gets it from a expert system. We have at one end we have user. The user talks it through the user interface, and apart from the user interface we have inference engine, and then they are connecting to the knowledge base, right? On the other side, guys, we have one of the very important concepts in this chapter, which has again come in the exam: business intelligence tools. What are some of the business intelligence tools? I have 5 tools for you. First one is called simple reporting and querying tool. Simple reporting and querying tool uses answers a question called simple reporting and querying tool answers a question called tell me what happened. That means very basic information. Tell me what happened. If you want a little more detail, then you use this one. This is called as business analysis, which is talking about tell me what happened, plus it is also talking about why. Tell me what happened and why. Then we have something called as dashboards. Dashboards are something where we talk about what? Less effort, more information. That is what the logic of dashboards are. And then point number 4, we're talking about something called as scorecards, where we're talking about giving an at a glance perspective. It's going to give us a at a glance perspective. And then the last set of business intelligence tools we have are the data mining tools. Data mining is a concept of extracting or pulling out data from the mining. That's it, guys. From the data warehouses. That's what is called mining, right? So information systems, specialized systems, artificial intelligence, talking about expert system, and the business intelligence tools. Like I said, there is nothing much to deal with in this chapter because each and everything is a straight and simple topic. So I could just give you an overview so that you can run through all the topics. This is just a reminder of all the topics in this chapter. Coming up to one of the most important topics in this chapter, which has been asked in the exam, and the last concept, 3 concepts I'm going to just highlight. I would want you to, at this point of time, focus on those, called as importance of privilege controls, why you are supposed to give privilege controls, and then role-based and rule-based systems. Role-based is based on position, rule-based is based on if and then rules, and lastly we have something called as principles of least privilege. And what's the principle of least privilege? Is to focus and give only those many number of privileges that are essential for somebody to fulfill their job, right? So I hope I could cover all the topics just as a brief overview, and that is what chapter number 4 is, right? That's a single frame for you on chapter number 4. Let me cover chapter number 5. So guys, let's move on to chapter number 5. Chapter number 5, the last chapter. There's nothing much for me to explain in this because it's a very simple chapter as such. It's about a lot of application software, the list of which is given, like, what is the accounting software, what is logistic management software. So I don't find a point in reading out the list of all the softwares once again. It's just a list of softwares. But one of the very important questions in chapter 5 is about why we go about doing BPA, which again talks about those three reasons on savings in cost, right? So those points are back. Why BPA? We talk about benefits and risks. So the benefits of doing and risks are supposed to be taken care of that. And then how to do BPA, all those 8 steps, right, are discussed again. So I think you want me to recap all the 8 steps that is there in previous video. Okay, chalo, let's do that. Right, why BPA? I think you should be able to do it along with me. Why BPA? Then rules and regulations. Talking about documentation. Rules, regulations, documentation. Then we have goals and objectives. Point number 5 is engaging a consultant. Point number 6 is talking about calculation of ROI. Calculation of ROI. Point number 7 is developing BPA. And point number 8 is all about implementing the BPA and implementing testing BPA, right? So that's what it is in 8 steps, and there's a case study given at that point. I want you to go through that case studies also, so that's also something that's important at this point, right? So why BPA? What are the 8 steps in doing BPA is taken care of, and then a list of softwares are given. I don't see a real point in me reading it right now, all that, you know, like you have Tally, SAP, all that. I think you can manage with reading what those are. Let me focus on more important concept. We talk about processing. So when you talk about processing, it's talking about 2 things, guys. It's talking about manual processing, and of course you have automated processing, manual and automated. In manual, you have a very simple idea. We talk about input, we talk about processing, and we talk about output. But when you talk about automated, we are talking about input, we are talking about processing, we are talking about storage as well, and then we are talking about the output, right? So this manual is purely based on human effort, while automated is purely based on computerized effort, right? So that's what it is. So why BPA, how the 8 steps are, what is processing, all that is something that one needs to consider. And then 2 of the very important points are talking about delivery channels, right? Delivery channels. We're talking about delivery channels for products and delivery channels for information, right? So when you talk about delivery channels of products, we have delivery channels of product. How to choose a delivery channel for product? We can deliver the product physically, we can deliver the product online. Same is the case with information. We can deliver the information physically through books and papers, and of course we can deliver it online. So what is the best way, right? There are 2 questions under this concept of delivery channels. It's very important to figure out how to choose a delivery channel. How to choose a delivery channel out of this is a very important question at this juncture. That is what you're supposed to know. And then let me take you through one of the very important topics and extensive topics in this chapter, controls in BPA. Let's cover this in greater detail. Controls in BPA are classified into 2 categories, guys. Managerial controls, and of course we have application controls. Right, I want everybody to catch up with this particular piece. It's a very important thing. Application controls, there are, there's a broader discussion. I will discuss it in the next frame. Right now, we'll talk about managerial controls. There's 7 of those managerial controls, and let me take you through those very quickly. This managerial controls. What are those controls? Top management controls, system development controls, top management controls. Top management controls on planning, ideology and all that. Then system development control, program development control. Then we have systems, program development control, system control, and then we have data administration controls. Data administration controls, quality assurance controls, quality assurance controls. I'm writing 6th one and 7th one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 controls. What are the managerial controls? And 6 is about security administration, and 7 is about operation management. This is security. 6 is about security administration, and lastly 7 is about operations management. So guys, these are the 7 points we covered under managerial controls. Application controls, I will discuss it in greater depth now, right? So basically YBP and the 8 steps, that could be one of the key points of questioning. This has been asked in the exam earlier, manual and automated process, the differences and all that. Then the delivery channels of products, information, and how to choose a delivery channel, and the most important topic in this chapter being controls, where we are talking about managerial controls and application controls. Then of course the last topic in this chapter again deals about emerging technologies, where you're talking about 3 topics. Emerging technologies, you have virtualization, you have grid computing, and then of course you have back with a little bit of cloud computing here, right? Virtualization is a concept whereby you're using something that's not real to be made real. So under the concept of virtualization, we have hardware virtualization, storage virtualization, and your hotspots and all that, network virtualization. Grid computing is like creating a supercomputer, more than one computer, bringing together the power of each individual computer is tackled together and brought as more than one. And of course cloud computing is something that we've already dealt in the second chapter, right? So let me take you through application controls. That's the only thing that we need to catch up with, because these 3 concepts of virtualization, grid and cloud are important, guys. Questions will come from this quadrant only, only in the sense, this one question can come from this quadrant. And of course let me take you through some of the application controls as well. Right, what are some of the application controls? We have boundary controls, input controls, process controls, output controls, database controls. Let's see how those are categorized and what is done. So let me give you that last frame of thoughts on application controls. There could be questions from application controls as well. So let's concentrate on dealing with application controls. So what is it dealing with application controls? Here it's talking about boundary controls first of all. Boundary controls. What are boundary controls? It's talking about access control mechanism, right? So we have cryptography, access control, cryptography, access control. Then we have passwords, digital signatures, password, digital signature. Then I think we have 2 more. We have PIN numbers and ID cards, correct? PIN and ID cards. So these are 6 boundary controls, guys. What is cryptography? The art of encryption, converting plain text into ciphertext. Access controls about identifying and authenticating. Then passwords, you know what a password, digital signature, PIN, ID card. I don't think these need explanation, right? After boundary controls, we have input controls, right? Under input controls, we are dealing 4 of those input controls, where we are taking care of what is called as source data controls. Then we will be discussing data coding controls, source data. Then we have data coding controls, validation controls, and of course if you are entering input in the form of batch, then you have batch controls, right? So that's what we got to do with input controls, guys. We have boundary controls and input controls. Then moving up next, we have the latest introduction to this, communication controls. Communication controls, when you're talking about line controls, flow controls, error controls, topology controls, right? Communication line control, component control, line error or flow error controls, and then we have topological controls, link controls, channel access, who can access the channel access control, and physical component controls, right? Line controls, flow controls, channel access controls, and of course lastly internetworking controls. So these are 3 basic controls, guys, on one side. Then we have processing controls, output controls, and of course database controls, right? Let's move on to processing controls. So for you I have processing controls, and in this case of processing controls we have run to run totals, which means pre-run and post-run we will check run to run totals. Then we have edit checks, right? Field interrogation, we have some of the points: reasonableness verification, field initialization, reasonableness verification. Field initialization is all about what? Setting everything to 0 before you start field initialization. Then exception reporting. Exception is something that goes wrong, exception reporting. And then towards the end for processing controls we do have something for existence or recovery controls. Up next is output controls. It's also important to decide whom to give the output, what output you're supposed to give. Storage controls, where you're supposed to store, how long you're supposed to store. Storage controls. Logging, logging of output, whom you gave, what you gave. Logging is what? A chronological record of all the details, right? Then we have controls over printing. Controls over printing, you're not supposed to give everything to everybody. Report distribution. Report distribution. Then talk about retention controls, and again we're talking about recovery controls. That's what it is. And then last we have database control, that's about storage. Database controls, right? What are database controls? We have what, in what order they are saved. Sequence check, and ensuring all records are processed. And lastly, it has the ability to process multiple files, process multiple transactions with single records. That's exactly what we have in terms of all the application controls, guys. So that's a big chart on what application controls is. You can run down, you can take a shot of that, and I think that's useful to you, just to quick memory of all the controls in one frame, right? And then of course, like I said in the last topic, we did discuss about, we do have ideas of virtualization, where we're talking about hardware virtualization, network virtualization, and storage virtualization. It's about partitioning and all that. Grid computing has a series of concepts. What is a grid? Grid is like several individual computers coming together and joined through a network to create a much powerful computer. And of course, cloud computing is server plus software plus storage over the internet and its advantages, right? That's it, guys. That's what I have for you on this particular topic of IT revision. So use this and memorize its the charts and techniques that have been used. Watch it as many number of times, so that before going to the exam it makes it easy. And after you finish your audit exam and come back that evening, I suggest you watch the IT videos, both part 1 and part 2. Of course, the link is also there for the strategic management video on this, right? So you watch it, subscribe to our channel tuition.in for more updates, and if there is something, I would let you know on that. I wish you all the best for the exams. Thank you.